Ours is called Systems Engineering for the Internet of Things. And it's coming from what our research group is called the Multisensory Devices Group. And this is just a kind of a glimpse of stuff we do over there. As you can see, like the scope, it's rather broad. You can describe it as real-time interactive systems, but we do research that touches on material science, fundamental physics. We do lots of things with acoustics to create like mirror haptic feedback, levitation, smell delivery devices, like anything which is interactive, real-time, and we touch very much on the underlying electronics and prototyping. For us, like robotics is not an end on its own, it's a means. Like in the end, for all the things that we are doing, you need to have sensors and actuators and I don't know, like display approaches. There are many interactive technologies that come into play. And our ethos, we say that we are a full stack development for interactive multisensory interfaces, from physics to end user and perception. And if you see the people in the group, I try to plot us here on a line, and then this creates like all sorts of friction within the group. But you've got people who are really much closer to engineering and physical sciences, like Sri with sound modulators, physical models. I'm more into 3D displays and high performance computation. Much of what you need to do requires quite intense computation. You want that to be real time and interactive. So that's where I'm fitting, but also quite close to engineering and physical sciences. Displays and fabrication, from acoustic manipulation to multi-material printing and manufacturing, robotics, multi-robot systems, from swarm intelligent distributed learning to AI also for robotics, and all the way up to the more human kind of models, doing things with VR interaction, text-to-speech, multimodal integration and multimodal experiences. We sort of cover the whole of the stack, but trying to just focus on what makes those systems useful. Over the years, we've been involved in creating several types of technologies that made it out into the market. Maybe you've heard of UltraLeap, which is it's a combination actually of creating mirror tactile feedback, sensations that you can feel in the middle of the air with no gloves or anything, no attachments in your hands, and also with leap motion, which is used for the other part that you need, which is kind of the sensing over here. That involves a little what we were saying, like image processing, linear algebra and whatnot, but also the combination with infrared illumination, camera, like the whole integration of the computing into the those edge nodes or embedded systems that you need to develop. All widgets, this one focused on controlled smell delivery, and again, like tracking, fabrication, prototyping, all of that comes into play. And we've got relationships with companies, I mean, a bit what Steve was saying, like from Meta to Sony to IBM to whatever. But what we've realized, and kind of what motivates us, is that what we have realized is that the path from an idea to a commercially viable product is shorter than ever. You were there like showing us like different boards and prototyping boards and all of that. And it's like back when I started doing my PhD, if you really wanted to produce any kind of new technology and put it out there, that was a proper pain in the ass. But right now with prototyping tools, the kind of level of maturity that we've reached with developing electronics and all of that, it's really, really a lot easier. But the thing is that we also realize that this is not only about learning about infrastructures. You probably know a lot about IoT services. You've been hanging out with Duncan and whatnot. You probably know a big deal. You also need to know bits of electronics, microcontrollers, sensors, actuators. You seem to have a lot of fun with that. And there are techniques with quick manufacturing, prototyping, and all of that. And all of that is great. But that what gives you is kind of the technical feasibility. What can I do or how can I do it? But the reality is that if you want to jump into this space, that's not enough. You need to understand the user's need, try and identify opportunities and when something might be actually desirable. But then you also need to be aware of the innovation landscape. How am I to go about with, I might be able to create a beautiful prototype, but how do I go about raising investment? What's the reality if I go to an accelerator, an incubator, like all of those things? What's the landscape over there? You need to be able to understand those things. And you also need to understand a little of what happens when you deploy in the real world. That's a bit what we want to give you. It's a bit navigate that line between what is feasible, technically feasible, and that's relevant, but also what's desirable, possible, and what works in reality. And we do that. We have some modules that actually touch on robotics, and we, as I'm saying, we use it more than anything because they are reusable skills that you need for many things. And from real-world multi-agent systems to modeling and designing embedded sensors, those are like the edge nodes and how they cooperate with each other, sort of. But then in term 3, we focus more on those aspects related to innovation and system thinking through speculative design. What is it that I can do that can result into kind of a profitable business model? And there are some options that give you a lot of freedom, more from robotics control and a bit what even mobile devices. And through the year, all of this, you start using it from day one into a group project. You start working with others. This, we base it on a global challenge, which is like, can be about the smart spaces. It can be about industry, or I don't know, like you get like a general challenge, and you get working on that in a group, applying what you are learning. And over the summer, actually, these topics are decided in collaboration with industry, and at the end of the project, we show that to our industry partners with the idea of kind of fishing for those projects. Hopefully, your group have been steering this in a direction that you find interesting. Hopefully, within your group, you've been kind of taking the reins on whatever was the best fit for what you wanted to do. And really, really, hopefully, during this end of the year event, if that sparks some interest from industry, from some industry partner, like you could go in a project with that could then lead to something else in the near future. And then even if that's not the case, like the range of expertise we have in the group gives like a lot of space for finding something that could be interesting for you, and that be your individual project. And I think that's kind of it, like in a nutshell. Like, we are also based on East, and what we do is not only robotics, it's more like, yeah, smart homes. Like, you can even think of agriculture, biotech, like industry, like many things. So it's a bit of a broader prospect. And yeah, I think we are starting this year. So if you're interested, we can chat.